lawcenter.org. We'll be back to wrap things up with, this sounds like a trio as well, Fraticelli, Lawrence, and Marshall. That sounds like we cover all your needs. Musical,
right.
Entertainment, law related, we got you covered.
Just give us a call.
think this time I'll let our next guest tell you what we just heard.
That was Rapids off of
some guy.
The Greg Snyder Trio album.
Okay.
In the State of Nature.
All right. Well, thank you. And you just heard from our guest that's going to be joining us in the studio and hanging out for a portion of the midnight hour. We'll see how long he wants to hang to talk about his new project. Jason Fraticelli, thank you for coming down, man. Josh Lawrence, Anwar Marshall. Again, where should people be next Saturday, the 20th of October at 8 p.m.?
Paint and Bride Arts Center.
And why should they be there?
Because we're going to be putting it down.
and we be?
Well, the three of us and 7 other people. It's Fresh Cuts, Philly Jazz, Fresh from the Vine. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in that order, but those are all the words.
And it's a world premiere, right?
World premiere.
Yeah, so we'll be really excited to play this and perform this new music for everybody that's there.
Yeah, so it sounds like, again, it's going to be a wonderful evening. And again, we're encouraging folks to come out and support. Anwar, I'm going to give you the last word on this, man, because you've been kind of quiet over there.
I'm a minimalist.
So folks should come out, right?
I think so. I think everyone would enjoy it. We have some, small compositions. We have some larger compositions.
Okay.
It'll definitely be something for everybody there that night.
Okay, that's perfect. We got like 3 seconds. We got to do the ID. Thanks for coming out. See you at the Paint and Bride.
All right.
Your classical and jazz station. Yeah. This is member-supported WRTI 90.1 FM Philadelphia, 91.3 WRTQ Ocean City, Atlantic City, 90.7 WRTL Ephrata, Lebanon, Lancaster, 91.1 WRTY Jackson Township, Mount Pocono, 91.7 WJAZ Summerdale, Harrisburg, 91.7 WRTX Dover, and 89.3 WRTJ Coatesville. A broadcast service of Temple University, also available in HD.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Shay Stevens. The vice presidential candidates are back on the campaign trail after their one and only debate this election year. As NPR's Scott Horsley reports, Vice President Joe Biden took his message to Wisconsin, the home state of his Republican rival Paul Ryan.
Vice President Biden is trying to build some momentum from his high-energy debate performance, and he made a special appeal to women voters. Biden criticized the GOP challengers for failing to back the Lilly Ledbetter law, which is designed to promote equal pay for women.
I happen to think my daughter should get paid exactly what any man is being paid for the job she's doing.
Biden also renewed his debate warning that abortion rights would be in jeopardy if Republicans control the White House and Supreme Court nominations. Scott Horsley, NPR News.
Congressman Paul Ryan stomped in a number of places, including Lancaster, Ohio, where he focused on the contrasting economic ideas between the two major parties.
We have a very big choice to make, and that choice is clear. Do we want more stagnation that fosters dependency, or do we want a dynamic, growing economy that creates opportunity and creates jobs?
Ryan joined GOP presidential nominee Mitt Romney later in the day. In Ohio, President Obama is taking some time off from campaigning before his second presidential debate with Mitt Romney on Tuesday. Attorneys for the U.S. soldier who's accused of killing 16 Afghan civilians in March say they are reviewing thousands of pages of evidence that will be used at trial. The charges against Staff Sergeant Robert Bales include premeditated murder, attempted murder, assault, and using steroids. Bales could face the death penalty if convicted. He's being held at Fort Leavenworth pending a November 5th hearing in which Afghan villagers are expected to testify via video. Prayers continue across Pakistan for a 15-year-old schoolgirl who was shot for defying the Taliban by advocating education for girls. NPR's Philip Reeves says police have been rounding up potential suspects.
More than 3 days after being shot in the head, Malala Yousafzai remains unconscious and on a ventilator. She's under close guard in a military hospital in Rawalpindi. A military spokesman says her heartbeat and blood pressure are normal and describes her condition as satisfactory. But he says the next 36 to 48 hours are crucial. Malala was shot from close range as she was being driven home from school. A Taliban spokesman reportedly says they decided to kill her 2 months ago after she ignored 3 warnings to stop promoting what he called Western thinking. He says a 3-man hit squad was dispatched to carry out the task. It failed to kill her, much to the relief of a multitude of Pakistanis, now ardently hoping she'll live to defy the militants again. Philip Reeves, NPR News, Islamabad.
This is NPR News. A glass window at the Obama re-election campaign office in Denver is boarded up after someone fired a bullet through it. Denver police spokeswoman Raquel Lopez.
There were folks inside the building. No one was hurt. And right now this is an active investigation.
Lopez says investigators are reviewing a surveillance video for clues on possible suspects. The Secret Service has turned questions over to local police. Economist Andrew Brimmer has died in Washington, D.C. at the age of 86. As NPR's Karen Grigsby Bates reports, Brimmer became the first African-American appointed to the Federal Reserve Board.
Andrew F. Brimmer began life in Louisiana as the son of sharecroppers who intended more for their child. After attending local segregated schools, he served in the Army and graduated from the University of Washington on the GI Bill. He earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in economics there. His doctorate came from Harvard. During his tenure on the Federal Reserve, Dr. Brimmer focused on balance of payment issues. He resigned from the Fed in the early 70s to teach at Harvard Business School and establish a private consulting company. Throughout his long career, he worked to apply what he called his economist toolkit to the persistent problem of Black Americans' income disparity. Dr. Brimmer died on Sunday in Washington after a long illness and is survived by his wife and daughter. Karen Grigsby Bates, NPR News.
TD Bank is notifying about 260,000 customers that their personal information may be included in data that became misplaced in transport. The New Jersey and Maine-based firm says the tapes were not encrypted, but it's not aware that there have been any misuse of the information. TD Bank says it's offering free credit monitoring for those affected. This is NPR.
Support for NPR News on WRTI comes from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, working to help communities from Mississippi to Philadelphia reduce childhood obesity at rwjf.org. It's 12:06. Welcome to the first minute of a brand new day. My name is J. Michael Harris-Son, and you are in tune to The Bridge. We got a whole lot of music, a whole lot of shows still left to go. And we're going to jump back into the brand new CD from Mr. Greg Snyder, who is in the studio with us, the Greg Snyder Trio, In the State of Nature. This time we're going to hear the composition entitled Wildfire. 215-204-8900 if you wish to communicate. And we'll be back in just a few minutes on the other side. Greg's hanging out, and that's a good thing. Stay close, please. And we are back. And once again, that is new music from the Greg Snyder Trio. And the CD's entitled In the State of Nature. The composition we heard, Wildfire. And just looking at the selection, the title of the tracks on this, man, there is definitely a thematical vibe to this. In the State of Nature. Why that? Are you the green individual, the nature lover, the conservationist?
I spend a decent amount of time fishing and out in nature, but I can't say I've titled it for that reason. I think just all the tracks kind of had a season or a nature theme, and I didn't intentionally do that. But I went on a vacation, and the pictures on the front and the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a photographer, but my little point-and-shoot camera, I got these two beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out,
maybe you are a photographer, my friend.
Maybe, but, I'm a sucker for a concept album, and I looked at these two pictures, and I saw all these nature titles and just said, you know what, that kind of wraps it all up.
Okay. Yeah, and we should note that in the last hour, when we had the Love Trio, as I'm calling them, Josh Lawrence and Jason Fraticelli and Anwar Marshall hanging out with us. We played a couple of selections from your CD, in part because Jason Fraticelli is playing bass on your CD. But the selections that we played Seasons, I believe, and Rapids, I believe, off of the CD.
Right.
And again, all of the selections have a connection to nature. But the photographs are really, really incredible on here, man. So, you may have hidden talents that you're not necessarily promoting at this junction.
I don't know. My brother's a photographer, and he kind of was telling me, even the blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while.
Well, that's what your brother's supposed to say. Yeah, that's come on. He can't give you any love, man. So this is probably better than some of his stuff. That's why he can't give you any love.
Maybe that's the truth.
No, but that's great. We were talking a little bit off air how Jason kind of came your way. But if you can talk about the trio and maybe how the trio evolved into what we're hearing right now.
Sure. Justin Lee, the drummer in the group, I met Justin in college. We went to Temple together, and we hit it off right away, just musically and as friends. And so he's been always my number one call on drums. But Justin was in Ellipsis, and when Matt Davis wasn't able to do the Ellipsis gig a couple times, I came in and sat in, and I had a blast. That stuff's like my wheelhouse. So,
okay.
That's when I first met Jason, and had a blast playing with him then, and then was doing a restaurant gig, and called up Jason and said, hey, do you want to play? And we just started playing, and the group just started sitting, and I already had this concept of doing an album and all these charts ready to go. So it was everything lined up, and
okay. So no, that's cool, man. You mentioned that you were a student here at Temple University, and Justin Lee being part of the program while you were here, and that's where you guys connected. Just maybe jumping into that program, what was it like for you being involved with that program? What did that do for you, man?
Oh, I loved it at Temple. I think I came in at a time when there were a lot of great guitarists ahead of me, like Matt Davis. And I went to see Matt Davis play every single time. And when they graduated, there was this void, and I kind of stepped into that void. So I got a chance to play in the senior ensemble, and we recorded the album Room 323, and that was my junior year, and that was Chris Beck on drums and Luke O'Reilly on piano.
Right.
So it was a blast. Just the education I got there was amazing.
Okay. Okay.
Terrell Stafford and
Terrell's
Betty and
Terrell's a very talented, gifted, gifted individual, man. So no, it's wonderful that you had a chance to be immersed in that environment. I've had a chance to meet so many artists that have come through Temple's program and really seem to have the opportunity to get a lot from that. And, I'm glad to hear that, it was something that, was special for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we have this new CD, the Greg Snyder Trio, man, project, In the State of Nature. And we had, spoke a little bit off air. You mentioned about this being a labor of love, the effort that it takes, man. Yeah. There are a lot of folks out there like you who, maybe have been playing an instrument for many years and have gone on to hone their skills and maybe connected with the local legends of their community, or going to an institution to help develop their skill sets and what have you. But just talking about, man, in this day and time, bringing a project like this to this point where I can physically hold it in my hand and you can come in and we can play it on the radio. If you can talk about that process and maybe things that you've learned from this process, because when you do the next project, hopefully it's a little easier. But if you can just talk about the blood, the sweat, and the tears of making a project like this happen.
Sure. I studied all these different styles of music. I started out on classical guitar, and was teaching myself blues and rock. And then blues lessons turned into jazz lessons, brought me here to Temple. But on the other side of Temple, because I was a versatile player, I started playing in all these different genre groups. Very actively. I'm still working in a lot of different groups. I have a country gig coming up. And, I played in blues bands and ska bands and dance bands and straight ahead jazz hits and fusion groups. I'm playing with Jason O'Mara. He's playing with the Fresh Cut from the Vine?
Yeah.
He's playing with them, but we're doing a hit at Chris's, I believe on the 26th.
Okay.
And that's the country gig is before that at World Cafe Live, and then I'm going to Chris's and doing the late night thing, so it's going to be an active night. But, playing in all these different groups, I've been writing music since I was 14. They were simple rock songs, but, I've always had this desire to put together my own group, write my own music. And then so the thing became, what's my identity? What am I trying to say? Who am I trying to appeal to? And like we spoke before, wrote a bunch of tunes. A lot of them are discarded. They're in a box in my basement. Finally started, hitting on a sound that I liked.
Okay.
And it's been years. I mean, it's probably been about 2-3 years of writing. But I think the album, the music pulls from all those different genres. It is jazz, but it's it's influenced by classical. It's influenced by rock. It's influenced by blues.
And you say you have all these discarded compositions in a box. You didn't say you threw them away. You said they're in a box. Right. Now, is that in part because, over years you change, you grow, and maybe the things that you wrote down, when you hear them, you'll hear them a different way. I mean, is that why you hold on to them, or?
Yeah, sure.
And you didn't just ball them up and shoot a jumper into the trash can?
No, I hang on to them because I always think there's a portion of them that I really like. There's some of them that I work on that, the first 8 bars is amazing, but then it just doesn't go anywhere. And,
right.
And I tried to write and I tried to do something with it. I just couldn't get it to go anywhere. So, maybe if I revisit it in a couple of years, I can use it again.
Yeah,
but that's why I don't, set it ablaze.
There you go. So you originally hail from the Philadelphia area? Where?
Allentown.
Okay.
Originally. But came down here for school and I've stuck around.
Yeah, well, definitely, a musical legacy associated with Allentown.
Yeah.
For you coming up in that area, what was it like for you? Was it in the house? Or where did you, in the early days, find your connection to music?
I definitely had a musical family. My brother is 5 years older than me, and he kind of, led the path. He was constantly showing me different music. I remember he showed me, I was studying, classical guitar and teaching myself rock and blues. It didn't click until he showed me Stevie Ray Vaughan's Little Wing. And it blew me away.
Right.
And I went, wow, that's the coolest thing I ever heard. And, that it's been just guitar ever since.
No, that's great. That's great.
But yeah, you know, in Allentown, I had a lot of family that were musicians, and a cousin of mine actually kind of took us under his wing. One of my first groups was called Nano 3, and it was a rock funk group. I wrote all the music, and he had us come and play. So I was, 16 years old, playing at bars, and we actually went up to New York City and did a show in New York City when I was 17. So, lots of family helping me out to, just get the exposure.
Yeah. Well, that's great to have that type of support. And I'm assuming it continues today, because it can become difficult. You go to college and the bills start mounting and what have you. You sure you want to be a musician, son? So.
Nothing but support.
Okay.
If you ever meet my parents, they are almost over the top with support. They're out to every gig.
Yeah.
My mom's always there having a bunch of glasses of wine and having a great time. So they're very, very supportive people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I'm going to use that opportunity to segue. You mentioned out to every gig. There are some gigs coming up that will support this project.
Yes.
So why don't you give a little insight to maybe, because I know there's a couple of CD release parties coming up. Is that correct? Okay.
We just did one last Friday in Brooklyn. I dragged Jason up to Brooklyn. Great experience, just a huge success on so many levels. And then the next one we have coming up is October 25th, and that's Thursday night. We play at 8, and that's at the Quarter Note Cafe in Audubon, New Jersey.
Okay.
And our Philly one is November 4th. We play at 6:30 at Sassafras Cafe, and we play at Sassafras every first Sunday of the month.
Okay.
So that's kind of our home base, and we want to kind of get that thing rolling forward. It's a great gig.
And again, that's on November the 4th.
November the 4th, and that's at Sassafras in Old City.
Okay. Do you have the exact address of Sassafras or approximate?
It's second. I believe it's just south of Chestnut. It's by the Khyber and the Tin Angel.
Okay.
That same block.
Okay.
And then the last one's November 11th at the Hotel Bethlehem up in Allentown for the fam. That's 6 o'clock.
And if folks want to, and maybe they're cyber correct and they want to stay up with what's going down with you, how can they do that?
GregSnyderMusic.com. I got all the details on there, plus links to the album and streaming videos and all of that.
All right, I want to go into a piece of music, but before we do that, I can feel a few people out there saying, okay, I didn't get those dates. So I want you to just go through them once again.
Sure.
The dates, the locations, and the times.
Sure. October 25th. Quarter Note Cafe in Audubon, New Jersey. We play at 8 o'clock. November 4th, we play at Sassafras Cafe at 6:30, and that's in Old City. And November 11th at the Hotel Bethlehem, we play at 6 o'clock.
Okay. We jumped into Rapids. We heard Wildfire. We heard Seasons. What would you like to play for the listener audience at this juncture?
I love Sunset.
Okay. And why do you love Sunset?
I think it's just a beautiful tune. I think it has great chord structure, and it reminds me a lot of Naima. The John
Coltrane, sure.
Kind of has a similar ballad and pedal vibe happening, and it not that it's anywhere close to Naima, but
that's what you feel.
Yeah, I feel.
You feel Naima when you do that, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. If you just joined in, we are chatting with Mr. Greg Snyder from the Greg Snyder Trio. He has a brand new CD entitled "In the State of Nature," and we've heard a few selections from that, and we're going to hear one coming up. It features Jason Fraticelli, who was in the studio with us just a few minutes ago. Jason's going to be in performance with the Fresh Cut on the Vine ensemble, which will be debuting at the Painted Bride Arts Center next Saturday, the 20th. And Mr. Justin Lee, who's a friend to the bridge as well, and has been down here many times in the past with Ellipsis. Greg Snyder is in the house. We're going to jump into, as I said, another piece, and I'm sure these are all like children, and we can't say one piece is your favorite piece, but this is definitely one that has a special meaning to him, a special connection. We're going to take care of a little bit of business, and on the other side of that, we're going to hear Sunset from the new CD. 215-204-8900 if you wish to communicate. Once again, my name is J. Michael Harrison, and you're in tune to The Bridge. This is your classical and jazz station, member-supported WRTI in Philadelphia at 90.1 FM. You can also check us out in Wilkes-Barre at 94.9 FM, in Ephrata at 90.7 FM, in the Pocono Mountains at 91.1 FM. You can catch us on the net, if you so choose, at WRTI.org. Keep your dial locked right here.
McCarter Theater Center supports WRTI. Princeton's McCarter Theater Center presents the Vijay Iyer Trio on Saturday, October 20th at 8. If there is a jazz musician of the moment, it's definitely Vijay Iyer. This Indian-American pianist has moved from underground favorite to emerging mainstream sensation with music dense with waves of odd-metered Indian and funk rhythms, open harmony, heart of darkness overtones, incantatory solos, and avant-garde collective. His trio is completed by bassist Stephen Crump and drummer Marcus Gilmore. Tickets at 609-258-2787 or mccarter.org.
that's music once again from the new CD entitled In the State of Nature from the Greg Snyder Trio. The composition, once again, Sunset. Now, other than attending the CD release parties, if someone wanted to get their hands on this CD, how would they do that?
You go to my website, gregsnydermusic.com. I have links to CD Baby and iTunes, and it's on Amazon as well.
Okay, so it is readily available. And if someone wanted to pick it up and get you to sign in at one of these CD release parties, again, let's give them the rundown of CD release parties that they can check you out.
Sure. October 25th, 8 p.m., Quarter Note Cafe in Audubon, New Jersey. November 4th at Sassafras Cafe in Old City, Philadelphia, and that's at 6:30. And November 11th at the Hotel Bethlehem, 6 o'clock.
Okay. And again, for those out there that want to find out more about Greg Snyder, the best way to do that?
gregsnydermusic.com.
All right. And, well, I want to take a second and thank you for coming down and hanging out, man.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you come down. And definitely, enjoying the CD as well. I think as you move forward, there's a lot more in the future. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. So we're encouraging folks to stay in tune and stay connected. Any final words that you want to say? Anything?
No,
Okay.
Just thank you for having me.
Okay. No, outstanding. Fortunately, you don't have to drive back to Allentown tonight. All right. We were talking off air, and I mentioned that when Wildfire was playing, that reminded me a little bit of Larry Coryell. And he's a guitarist that I've enjoyed for, eons, many years, and recently had a chance to see him in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, with Lenny White and Victor Bailey, kind of a power trio type.
That should
thing.
be okay.
And but what was really cool about that night, and actually I played something from a CD he handed me that night. I didn't bring it with me this week, but he on one of his LPs, one of his records from years ago, which was titled Bolero for Ravel's Bolero. Mm-hmm. He covered that on acoustic guitar, which was really incredible. Well, that night he did Bolero on a 12-string guitar, which was really crazy. It was a beautiful thing. So, I'm a huge fan of Larry Coryell, and I recently, and like literally this past week, came in contact with this CD that I really hadn't heard before, and it's got a little bit more of a world flavor to it. It's Larry Coryell live in Bahia. So, it was my intention to play something from this tonight, but I think, it's even more of a reason to play something right now. So we're going to jump into kind of an extended composition just so Mr. Greg Snyder can hear some of this as well as he makes his way out of the studio. But again, man, great to have you come down here. Continued success, and we're encouraging folks to pick up the CD and maybe make your way out to one of the CD release parties, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you.
All right. This would be Mr. Larry Coryell, once again from the CD entitled Live from Bahia. Keep your dial locked right here. You may indeed find something that you like. Stay close, please.